Hello, my name is Angelica Loshak, and today I will be presenting on the security of public key protocols by Danny Dolev and Andrew Yao. This paper was published on March 1983 and has over 7,000 citations. How can we prove the secrecy of a cryptographic protocol and guarantee that an attacker can't learn the encrypted message? This paper focuses on building a formal mathematical model. It presents 6 theorems to prove secrecy based on these models. Public key encryption is a form of asymmetric cryptography where 2 keys are used, one for encryption and one for decryption. The plain text is encoded through an encryption function using the public key. Decryption function can then be applied to reveal the secret message M. Perfect secrecy is an important concept in cryptography. Ciphertext C should reveal no information about plaintext P. This can be mathematically represented as the uncertainty about the plaintext P should equal the uncertainty about the plaintext P given the ciphertext. In order to prove perfect secrecy in a model, we need to prove that in this model the plaintext is independent from the ciphertext. Here are some notations used throughout the paper. The identity function is important and says that the encryption with the decryption operator will equal an empty string. Cancellation rules based on the identity function are used to reduce the string. A reduced form of a string is denoted by having a bar over it. Let's look at a cascade protocol example. In this example, when user A wants to send a message to user B, they encrypt the message using the public key of the receiver. The information of the sender and the receiver are included in the protocol. The adversary is able to break this protocol without even needing to crack the encryption system. The adversary will do this by intercepting the message from A to B and replacing the sender information with their own information. In this way, the adversary is posing to be the sender, A. Next, the adversary will relay this message to the receiver. The receiver B answers to Z according to the protocol, and they encrypt the message using the sender's information, public key, which is now Z's public key, and then they send it back to the sender, who is Z. Z can now easily recover the plaintext by decrypting the message using their private key. How can we make this protocol more secure? Let's look at it. This name stamp protocol is now secure and cannot be broken by an adversary. In the name stamp protocol, the identity of the sender is bounded with the message but through the encryption function. Adversary Z is no longer able to pose as A, because in order to do that, they would have to decrypt the message and unbound the sender's identity and replace it with their own before encrypting it again. So is the name stamp protocol always secure? The answer is no. Let's look at example 3, where we add an extra layer of encryption. Turns out this protocol is no longer secure because of that. Adversary Z is able to break the protocol. They intercept the message from B to A, and they they take this part as, let's denote this part of the message as M prime, the encrypted message with B's signature. So Z wants to decrypt M prime. They do this by sending this whole message encrypted to A, and A will decrypt both encryptions and send it back to Z. So now Z is able to decrypt it and reveal what M prime is. They were able to now they are able to unbind B's signature and replace it with their own. However, the message is still encrypted, so Z sends the message again to A in order to be decrypted. So at this point, when A sends the message back, Z is able to recover the message by decrypting it with their private key. How do we determine that example 2 is secure, and how do we prove that example 3 is insecure? Here we introduce the Dolev and A model. In order to have a formal model, we must have precise language to describe the protocol and the users and adversaries' capabilities. For example, one assumption is that the communication channel is in full control by the adversary. The adversary can intercept and resend any encrypted message. Now that we have defined a model, we need to define what an insecure protocol means. Protocol T is insecure if for some gamma we can reduce the protocol into an empty string lambda, because then that will reveal message M. So what is gamma? Gamma is a string of valid operators that the adversary can use. For example, the encryption operators, decryption, and appending and deleting. If there is a combination of these operators that will reduce the protocol to an empty string and reveal M, then protocol T is insecure. Otherwise, we can say that the protocol is secure. This definition will be applied to the next to prove the next 6 theorems. Let's look at the first theorem. This is a cascade. It states that a cascade protocol is secure if and only if the following 2 conditions are met. The first one basically means that there needs to be some layers of encryption between in the messages. The second condition is that the protocol has to be balanced. This just means that we don't apply the decryption operator without also pairing it with the encryption operator. This theorem is applied in an interesting way in Dolev's second paper on the security of ping-pong protocols. Dolev shows the application of Theorem 1 to the protocol in example 2. This protocol is different from example 2 in the previous slides because this is from his other paper. And according to Theorem 1, this example 2 protocol is secure if and only if there exists no path in this diagram which leads to an empty string. This is an interesting visual representation in order to prove that a protocol is secure. Theorem 2 states that every doubly verified protocol is insecure. The protocols we saw in example 1 and 3 are shown to be insecure by this theorem. However, example 2 is secure because according to the theorem, the sender should not be able to decode this message simply by decrypting messages sent back to it. And we saw that this held true for example 2. Theorem 3 and 4 are stating the runtime. For example, Theorem 3 states that a 2-party namestamp protocol can be decided whether it is secure or not in O of n to the power of a time. So these two theorems are important because they show that a polynomial time algorithm exists to determine the security of a protocol. These two theorems allow for tools such as ProVerify to be built to determine the security of protocols. ProVerify is a well-known tool that verifies the cryptographic protocols, and it is based on the Dolev and A model. Theorem 5 and 6 are very similar to Theorem 1 and 3, except that they are considering the impatient saboteur. An impatient saboteur is an attacker who sends out messages but does not depend on a reply from any user. This is important because the attacker is no longer limited by the responses they get. And we show that they are also verifiable in polynomial time. Dolev and A were one of the first to make an attempt to create a formal model and prove security. This paper is highly influential and is still being cited to this day. It has been used to prove the security of the RSA algorithm and also the insecurity of the Diffie-Hellman key exchange protocol. Now, the Diffie-Hellman algorithm must be paired with some form of digital signature to guarantee security. Modeling a protocol oversimplifies the environment. It doesn't consider the full range of attacks, protocols, and scenarios that we can face. It is also challenging to represent a protocol as a mathematical model. That's why for future works, this paper should extend the model to include more sophisticated attacks and protocols, as well as applying this model to the real world and testing the security of popular cryptographic algorithms. Hello, my name is Angelica Loshak,